are on to a very important creative writing. Creative writing, yes, sort of a creative writing. So it comes with the question of your comprehension, but what happens is you have to read that entire passage and do what? Note making and summarization. See, don't look at the question and get confused and oh my God types. Don't do that. It's very simple to attain those marks. Only you have to do is read the rules very, very well and follow the format. The marks are yours. There's no one that can stop you. Of course, the content has to be relevant too, but it's not difficult at all. So what happens is, once when you read it, you try it, you attempt it quite a few number of times, you're sorted. Yeah. So let's attentively watch this entire video, right? So that you can attain the maximum marks. So here we go. What are we going to learn? We are going to learn what is note making and summarization. What is the importance of doing? Quite often people tell us it is the digital world, we have to message, we have to email. But my dear children, you have to understand, you have to know the relevance of the data even then. What you have to put up even then. So this is all a practice to get you there, right? And note making. Okay, so when you attend seminars, when you go for some, workshops, don't we jot down points? We do it. Of course, we are not going to jot down every single word what the speaker is talking about. But yes, we write down the main points, yeah, so that we don't forget and we can refer to them even later. This is exactly the same. So this is really teaching you how to do that. So what is note making and summarization? The importance, the format. How do you, there is a particular format you have to follow and you have certain marks allotted to that. Rules, of course, the marking scheme, it will tell you what carries how much marks. Sample, you'll give you a sample of that entire thing, and of course, we don't spare you without practice. So let's move on further. What is note making and summarization? It is a crucial skill that helps us in academics. The function of notes is to filter the important information and help us to retain it. What do you mean? You filter the important information. So whatever information is there, what is important for you, you keep it with yourself. You retain it. Yeah, you retain it so that you can refer to it. It also makes it easier for us to refer to the important points in future. The note making and summarizing question consists of two parts. They are already here. First, you are asked to prepare notes from the given passage, which you are required to convert into a summary in the second part of the question. So you're given a passage. From there, you have to jot down the notes. You have to filter the points. You have to filter the content and get the important information. And then that has to be converted into a summary. So this is how it is an interconnected question. What is the importance? It transforms the entire set of information into a manageable size. Now, your passage can be really long, but when you convert it, when you make notes, it becomes into a size which you can manage. It includes the key points which makes it more readable. Of course, now that you have the key points. So you know exactly what you're reading and what you're going to get out of it. It helps in better understanding of the concept, undoubtedly. It aids, it helps quick revision during exam time. So when you have those points right there in front of you, it becomes way easier. You don't have to go through the entire passage. Yes? Great. Now, let's move on to the format. We follow certain standard practices. They are standardized. They are fixed. These may be listed as follows. So what are they? You have headings and one heading, then you have the subheadings, abbreviations and symbols. Abbreviations are what? Short forms, right? So instead of DATE, we write DT, date, right? So those are abbreviations. You have symbols for certain things. Now, dear students, here, the list of the abbreviations, and you will find everything in your notes. Kindly refer to the notes for the same. You have the entire list out there, very well put up. So please refer to it. The note form, the numbering and the indentation, how to do the numbering. Everything cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4. There has to be Roman 1, 2, 3, 4. There has to be A, B. The numbering depends, and the indentation. So indentation is basic. Can you see this? This is indentation. This is in straight line. Supposing I had something to speak on headings and subheadings, I would have started from here. So that is indentation. And of course, the summary. So all this put up together fetches you 8 marks. How? Let's watch it. Now, let's understand the thing, heading and subheadings. The heading reflects the main theme, whereas the subheadings point out how it has been developed. Now, heading is the title basically. So when you read the passage, you have to give it a very suitable and a crisp title. See, a heading is not a sentence, remember this. Yeah, it has to be a title, maybe 5-6 words max, but when you read the title, the reader should be able to understand what is that passage all about. So that is what the heading says. Now, subheading points out how it has been developed, the entire process, how it has been developed. See, these points will be way more clearer when we get on to the example. The selection of proper heading and subheading reveals the grasp of the passage by the students. That means when you put up a proper heading and your subheadings go well, that shows that how well you have understood the passage. The heading will be based on the following considerations. Frame a heading based on the main idea, again, for which you have to read the passage. Write it in the middle of the page. Obviously, generally that's how we do it. We have been doing it all these years. The title always comes in the middle. The subheadings will be based on the following considerations. How has the main idea been presented and developed? So whatever be your heading, right? Below that, whatever subheadings you are putting, you have to say how it has been presented and developed. That will come in your subheadings. Are there 2 or 3 subordinate or associated ideas? Now, quite often, like when we are talking of you're talking of something to do which has advantages, which has disadvantages, which where people agree, where they don't, they disagree. So you have more associated ideas. In that case, you will put your subheadings accordingly. Yeah. All this will get way clearer once you get onto the example. Now, abbreviation and symbols. They are used for precision, for ekdam to the point, precise, and economy of words. You reduce the words. You don't have to elaborate, you have to decrease. And hence, quite helpful in note making. Now, when the speaker is speaking and you want to write fast, obviously you will land up putting the and symbol, you will put DT for date, or anything. You will bring up a lot of abbreviations, of course, with which you are familiar, so that when you refer to those notes later, you should be able to understand that. Yeah, at least 4 recognizable abbreviations are to be used in note making in your board examination. However be the passage, okay? However be your understanding, but you have to make sure, you have to ensure that at least minimum 4 abbreviations have to be there in your note making. Recognizable. Do you see the word? Recognizable abbreviations. These you have to make sure that you refer to the list. Again, I'm telling you, in the notes section, it is there. Kindly refer to them and be familiar with them so that you can use it in your exam. Now, which are the different abbreviation types? There are different abbreviation types. They usually fall into one of the 4 categories. So there are 4 categories of abbreviations. Your abbreviations when you write, they will be belonging to any one of these categories. Acronyms. What are acronyms? An acronym is an abbreviation spoken like a word. For example, DOS, Disk Operating System, DOS. So you're basically taking the first letter of every word. That is an acronym. Right? So you have to make sure that you understand what those acronyms are. So one of your abbreviations can be based on that. See, for example, NAFI, you can say it as a word. It's Navy, Army and Air Force Institutes. Likewise, there are n number of acronyms. You have acronyms for your names. On birthdays, don't we put up beautiful, intelligent, whatever be your initials of your name, you put up those adjectives. That's acronyms. Contractions. Now, just as the name suggests, contract, make it short, make it small. A contraction is a contracted version of a word. A contraction often includes an apostrophe to replace any missing letters. For example, you are. Now, do you see it's Y-O-U apostrophe R-E? We're all familiar. We've been doing this since years. In full, it is U-R. So, the apostrophe is coming for the which missing letter? A. Likewise, can't. Can't is the contracted word of cannot. Yeah. So this is how your contracted words. So abbreviations, which are the two, for the time being we've done two categories, which are they? Acronyms and contractions. Let's look at the next two. Initial abbreviations or initialisms. Initialisms are what? Again, like I told you, what is the initial? What is your initial we say? So it is the first. Now, for example, I'm Vimla. So V. Okay, that's the initial letter. An initialism is an abbreviation whose letters each represent a word. For example, AQI. It's Air Quality Index. Likewise, MLRS, Multiple Launch Rocket System. So initial, again, you are taking the first letter of every word. What was the difference in acronym and this? Acronym is what? It is an abbreviation spoken like a word. You might be confused, right? That this is the same thing. But here it is DOS, NAFI. It sums up to be a word, right? Unlikely, in fact, the other way around. Here, it's not the case. Here, you will say AQI, you will say MLRS, right? So, this is your third type of abbreviation. Now, syllabic abbreviations. A syllabic abbreviation is an abbreviation formed from the initial syllables of multiple words. Initial syllables. Check this out. When we are talking of international police. Now, do you see it is inter and police ka pol, right? So, they are syllables. Like if I'm saying again, Vim, La. Vim is one syllable and La is the other syllable. These are syllables. So, likewise, you have this syllabic abbreviation. Look at this, International Maritime Satellite. What is it saying? It's IN, International, MAR, Maritime, and SAT for satellite. So it is taking the syllables. So you got your four types of abbreviations. Just let's do them. Acronyms, right? Then contractions, very good. Then you have the initialisms and lastly the syllabic abbreviations. So whatever abbreviation you're doing in your note making, they have to belong to any one of these categories depending on the passage, depending on what is there before you based on that. Now, let's look at the note form, just like we spoke about it. While making notes, the whole information is listed in the note form in points only. It's not going to be possible for you to, okay, even if you're reading the passage is there right in front of you. You can read it and reread it and reread it. But you have to make sure, though it's there in front of you, you will only do the note form in points. Notes should not be written in complete sentences as we can't remember the whole information. So, only the main points are listed one under the other and they are numbered. So, like I told you, we will be seeing further how are you also going to do the numbering and the indentation. It implies the logical division and subdivision of the listed information by using figures, letters, dashes and spaces. How are you going to form that note, the note making? It's going to be based on logical division. So whatever logic in that passage that you have, as per the points given to you, as per the paragraph given to you, you have to put up the logical points and the subdivisions. You have to take the logical division and their subdivisions, if any, of the listed information by using what? Figures, letters, dashes and spaces. So it depends. Everything, as we solve the example, it is going to be in front of you. All examples and figurative speeches are eliminated. So if at all in your passage you have any kind of example given to prove certain point, just let it go. Any figurative speeches, any metaphors, any kind of similes, all those sorts, kindly just let them go. Do not consider them. Yeah, this is how you will be able to frame your note. You will be able to do your note making. Now, like I mentioned to you, numbering and indentation. Indentation means leaving space at the beginning of a line of print or writing. Do you see? This is in exact format. It's indentation. Now, this is a perfect indentation. If, like I told you earlier, if I had something else to say in this, I would have gone here and I would have started. That's indentation. First, write the title and then write down the notes in a logical order. We will put them as per the thing given to us in the passage. We will do based on that. From the main headings to the subheadings, the numbering should be spaced a little to the right. So, from the main headings, this is the main heading, to the subheading, when you go down further, you will make sure that the number is spaced a little to the right. We will see that right here. Summary. Now, this was all about note making. All right. Now, after you have prepared the note, you have to make the summary. How are you going to do that? The summary is an abstract of the passage. It will still get shorter, but let me tell you one thing. Shorter does not mean that you just start, ignoring points, and that's not the way summary is. Summary will give you the gist of that entire passage. Okay, it is an abstract of the same. So it is a smaller version, but that does not mean you change it. It does not mean you ignore the important points. You have to consider them all. Expand your heading and subheadings and write down the ideas developed in the passage in the specified word limit. Creative writing, word limit, very important. You have to consider that. So, what are you going to do? You are going to expand your heading and subheadings, and what else you're going to do? Write down the ideas developed in the passage in the specified word limit. This is what your summary is going to be all about. It should be grammatically correct, but obvious, it's English, and cover all the important points given in the notes. Like I said, you cannot avoid and ignore important points. You have to make sure you cover which are really important. Word limit of the summary should be 80 to 100 words. Now, your passage is going to be this big, but your summary has to be this small. So be prepared, follow the rules, follow the format, and you are going to be way sorted. So let's look at the rules to follow. Now you are playing this game, so every game comes with rules, and here they go. Read carefully. Very, very, very important. The passage that you get, I very, very well know. There are many students who are lazy readers. The moment they look at the passage, ye kaun padega yaar? That's the general attitude I have seen of many students, experienced. But my dear students, don't do that. Kindly don't do that. This question carries a good chunk of marks. You cannot avoid, you cannot afford to do such things. Please consider this. So read it very carefully, the passage. Provide an appropriate title. So you can give that title only after you have read the passage. Make notes of the main ideas under headings and add sub-points under subheadings. So if there are many different ideas, okay, they will be the main ideas. They will come under the headings. And then for the subheadings, you will have sub-points. Use proper layout or format which has been given to you. Short and compact. It has to be short. Like the word limit we know is 80 to 100 words. You have to stick to those numbers. A little here and there is affordable, but don't go beyond. Yeah. Complete the information in about 80 to 100 words. They must be presented in a logical way. Don't go A, B, D, F, C. No, you have to go A, B, C, D, E. You have to have a nice logical sequence. Understandable. Now, when I read that summary, I should understand what is in that entire paragraph, the passage on top. So you have to give me all those points. Use recognizable abbreviations wherever possible. We already saw our 4 categories of abbreviations. You have to make sure that the abbreviations that you use belong to any one of those categories. Yes? So these are the rules of this game, and let's talk of the marking scheme. Note making is 5 marks. Very important. The title fetches you 1 mark. You have to make sure, again I'm telling you, your title cannot be a sentence. Alright, so please make sure that you put up an appropriate title and get your 1 mark. Numbering and indenting 1 mark. Like I told you, 1, then there will be A, then there will be Roman 1, 2, 3. So numbering and indenting. Key glossary, the vocabulary that you use. Of course, you are going to pick it up from the passage, but still, you have to make sure that you take those important words. And the notes, the entire notes, the content carries 2 marks. So all put together fetch you 5 marks for note making. Now, if I talk of summarizing, content is 2 marks. Yes. Expression 1 mark. You have to make sure that everything has been properly covered. Grammatically, it is correct, right? You have to make sure that everything that you are putting, the abstract of the passage is there in that. So the content has to be relevant. All points have to be covered. So the total is 8 marks. 5 and 3 gives you 8. So this is your marking scheme for note making and summarization, which is a very definite question. You cannot skip it. It is not an optional question. Now, let's look at the sample. Now, this is something you need to really pay attention to. Once you understand this, you can solve any passage. So I will quickly first just read this. Yeah, and then we will see the note making and the summary of the same. Depression is a common problem of modern times. You know what? It's a very interesting passage, so you should listen to it. This is not for me. I'm reading this for you. Yeah, so pay attention. Depression is a common problem of modern times. Again, I'm stopping. While I'm reading, you should think of a title before it comes here. You think of it and you also start doing it. So, both the rich and the poor suffer from it. According to the World Health Organization, by the year 2020, depression will become the 2nd leading cause of disease in the world. Many solutions have been prescribed for the problem of depression, but most have proved to be ineffective as a complete cure. They may offer temporary relief, but fail to resolve the problem permanently. How bad is that depression? Stay away, beware. Meditation is often advised to treat this problem of depression, but meditation focuses on the heart, and modern science has established that heart is merely an organ that pumps blood, whereas many kinds of depression stem from the mind. It's mentally based. It is the mind that controls the heart and not the heart which controls the mind. In many cases, depression is non-physical and the heart is physical. So you see, they're giving you all the differences there. How can a physical organ resolve a non-physical problem? Seems true. We also often hear about physical techniques to counter depression, but the reach of physical techniques is confined, it is limited to the body and does not extend to the mind. So basically what they're trying to tell you is depression is related to the mind and not to the heart. Now this is your passage still continuing, so my dear students, if you read it more attentively, you can do your note making and summary way faster. Many kinds of depression are the result of non-acceptance of reality. The real solution to this problem is the acceptance of the reality. While non-acceptance creates the problem, acceptance of reality will solve it. You have to accept it. You have to face it. You don't have to go against it. That will help you solve it. Our world is one of freedom, competition, challenge, and clash of interests. This nature of human life is bound to create problems. No one is exempt, no one is away from this process. Everyone goes through it. This being so, to de-stress, learn the art of stress management rather than trying to eliminate the stress. There is no way that you will never face stress. You have exam stress, you have peer pressure, you have so many stresses, your own way, your own life. You at your level, you have different kinds of stresses. We at ours have our own different kind of stresses, but that does not mean that you're never going to face them. They are there in front of you. Accept them, but learn to manage them. They will go only then. A person may become sad upon facing a loss in business or feeling discriminated against at work. He may give into anxiety and frustration if he suffers a loss in an election. His love marriage turns into a problem, or if he is offended by criticism. Now, what are these examples? You think we are going to consider them in our note making and summarization? No. Pay attention. In all such cases, a person becomes negative because of being unaware of the real cause. He attributes the cause to another person and holds this person responsible for his difficulties. He puts the blame, plays the blame game. Because of you, I am upset, I am stressed. So, you put it on someone else's shoulder. He fails to realize that all these are due to the law of nature. Whether you take it or not, whether you agree or disagree, whatever you do, whichever actions you take, it has an equal and opposite reaction. Whatever actions you commit, whatever actions, good deeds, bad deeds you do, they are going to come back in the form of consequences. This is called karma in short. Law of nature, if you understand that better. Moving further towards the end of your passage, if you attribute the cause of the problem to the divine law of nature, it will arouse no negativity. But when you attribute it to a person, it brings on negative thinking. If you take it as God's wish, whatever comes your way, this is God's wish. If you take it that way, you'll be fine. But the moment you start playing the blame game, because of this I am unhappy, because of him I am unhappy, sorry, there will only be negative thinking. It will add on to your stress levels. This is because the law of nature is not your rival. He has no personal enmity with you. आपके साथ कोई दुश्मनी नहीं है उसकी. But whereas you see a person as your competitor, you feel, oh, he's better than me, I have to be better. So, there are unfair practices that we follow because of the word, and if you lead on to unhealthy competition. When you attribute the cause of your problem to a rival as in to an enemy, it will invariably arouse negative thoughts and cause anger. Nothing will happen to that person, my dear. The problem will be, you will be under stress, you will face anger, your body will face the consequences of anger. Nothing will happen to that person. That person will have a nice sound sleep, but you'll keep thinking and multiplying your thoughts and multiplying your negativity. So it's really not going to help you. But when you attribute the cause to the law of nature, because it is not your rival, and is equal in its treatment of all, it will lead to introspection. So beautifully put. If you give it to the law of nature, see again, the law of nature is not your enemy. You are not his enemy. So where will it lead? It will lead to introspection. You will want to know and discover yourselves. I'll tell you a nice thing which I generally, it's a practice which I put with my children in the class. So if I ask you, just quickly, let's do it together. Come on. If I ask you, give me 5 points. Oh, okay, fine. Give me some points about your best friend. The good and the bad, the negative and the positive. Quickly, come on. 1, 2, 3, think. Got it, got it, got it. 6, 7, 8. She's this, she's this, she's this, she's this. Right? Okay. How fast your mind worked. Correct? Your best friend. Okay. Give me qualities about yourself. What are your skills? What are you good at? Think, come on. 1, 2, 3. Difficult, right? Tell me, please be honest. It's very difficult to talk about ourselves. We easily point out fingers to the other person. She's good, she's bad, whatever. She's ugly, she's beautiful, he's handsome. We do that so easily. Do we look into ourselves? Do we? We don't. That's introspection. Introspection is very important to understand. Please understand yourselves before reading others. Very important. It will help you solve a lot of issues. When you follow nature-based thinking instead of man-based, this is such a solution. In fact, this passage is really going to help you out. So when you follow nature-based thinking instead of man-based thinking, you will try to discover its wisdom and will realize that whatever has happened is for your betterment. Whatever comes your way, whatever happens to you is for your good. Please take it. It was to activate your mind and enhance its creativity. It was a means of developing a realistic approach, fostering incentive, making you realize your mistake, and helping you to re-plan practically. Now, what are these? These are the solutions. Right? You see, we are not going to consider examples when we are going to do the note making and summarization. Well, anyways, I fell in love with this passage. It really, I'm sure, is going to help you anyways. When this thought comes to you, your mind will automatically change from negative to positive. You will be grateful towards the law of nature for bestowing this blessing in disguise. This thought will eliminate your stress and you will be able to live normally. This is a good way to help de-stress the mind. Don't run away. Face it, and this is it. You have the solution right there. This is going to be there in your notes. So if at all you want any kind of help, if you are facing any kind of stress, kindly refer to this passage. It will really help you a lot. Trust me. Now, coming back to the academics. So what are you supposed to do out of this passage? On the basis of your reading of the above passage, make notes on it using headings and subheadings. Use recognizable abbreviations. We know what they are. Wherever necessary, supply an appropriate title to it. After that, your second question, write a summary of the above passage in 80 to 100 words. Now, this is what we spoke about, note making and summarization. Let's see how it has been done for you. Let's check the title. Depression, accept it, tackle it. I already told you your heading, your title cannot be a sentence. So, see, it tells you, right? Depression, you have to accept it and you have to tackle it. There is no other go. Let's look at our notes. Now, please look at the indentation, look at the numbering, right? Look at the heading and look at the subheadings. So here we go. The first point they have spoken about is depression. Now, what about depression? Common problem of modern times. Everybody is facing it. They have not considered examples. According to WHO, please look at this. ACC, WHO. Short forms, like we said, minimum 4 in that entire answer of yours. You can have more. Minimum is 4. You can have more. And again, you will do the recognizable abbreviations. Don't bring up your own. Yeah. So ACC is according. Again, the list is there in your notes. Kindly refer to them. Yeah. To WHO, that's World Health Organization, the 2 types of abbreviations will soon become second leading disease. Prescribed solution, SOLN, solution, offer temporary relief. Now, prescribed solution, now this do you see is for coming for the sub point of the subheading. Okay, so offer. So do you see the indentation? It's a point for this only. So it has come under that. Now, if I consider the 4th point, no permanent cure. These 4 points are referring to depression, and this point alone is referring to the 3rd subheading. Moving further, the second main point. Okay, you see, please look at the numbering again. I'm telling you, kinds of depression and its cure. Non-acceptance of reality. So you see 1 point, 1 subheading. What is about it? About non-acceptance of reality. Solution, acceptance of reality. So here they are telling you the kinds of depression, and what is the cure? The solution is what? Acceptance of reality. Then clash of interests. There will be clash of interest. What is the solution to that? Learn stress management. Do you see management? MGMT. Again, another abbreviation. So let's look at this once again. You're having the heading, you are having the subheadings, you have a sub point to the subheading. Look at the numbers. It's 1, it's 1, 2, 3 in Roman. The sub points are going ABC, right? So this is how you have to take care of the indentation, the numbering and the indentation. What's the 3rd point? Causes of stress or depression. Now, what are the causes? You attribute to another person cause of problem. Attribute, ATRBT. Again, problem, PRBLM. Yeah, these are the abbreviations. Fail to realize law of nature. Those are your causes of stress. Now, the next point, what are they telling you? What are the ways to de-stress? Attribute problem to the divine law of nature. Attribute problem, we already did that. Don't attribute cause of problem to a person. Follow nature-based thinking. This causes realization. What all do you realize? Now, because you have these sub-points over here, right? Under this, what all do you realize? Whatever happened, HPND, is for betterment. Means of developing, DVLPG, a realistic approach. Fostering incentive, helping you to replan, and understanding the mistake. And what is the 5th point about it? Realization eliminates stress. So you see how this is how we will go about when it comes to note making. Now, this is just an example, yeah, of the 4 types. Problem, according ACC, you have to take the syllables. WHO, that's your acronym. Solution, short form, and management. Okay, these are just a few examples. You have more in the notes. Please refer to the list. Now, talking about the summary. We did the note making. Now, let's talk of the summary. 80 to 100 words. This is it. How many slides did we read that passage? And just look at your summary. So see how well it has been covered. It will be covering all the important points. According to the WHO, the World Health Organization, here no short forms. Take care. Depression is expected to become the 2nd leading cause of disease in the world. Prescribed solutions offer temporary relief but offer no permanent solution. The cause is non-acceptance of reality or clash of interests. Solutions are acceptance of reality and learning to manage stress. Stress is caused by attributing problems to other persons instead of understanding the law of nature. One should realize that whatever has happened is for the betterment. This enables development of a realistic approach to the problem and helps in replanning. This realization eliminates stress. Now, my dear students, if you look at this and if you look at your notes, okay, if you look at the notes, this summary is just put all these points put together. You have already taken the main points from your passage, okay? in your notes. What is your summary going to do? You are going to elaborate this in the summary. That's it. So you have already filtered your information. You've got all the important information. And with this, you are going to, with the help of this, you are going to base your summary. So please play smart. Just do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you do it. You have a beautiful passage again based on artificial intelligence. Something that's really good. I would not like to do any kind of spoon feeding here, at least. I have done one for you. I want you to read this passage and make sure you attempt it. Please do so if you really want those good chunk of marks. Yes, if you really want to pocket those marks, go for it. So yeah, please read this entire thing. I want you to do it, work it out, and then again, as you got the question before, on the basis of your understanding of the above passage, make notes on it using headings and subheadings, use recognizable abbreviations, wherever necessary, minimum 4. Minimum is 4, you can do more than 4. And a format you consider suitable, also supply an appropriate title to it. That's your 5-mark question. Write a summary of the passage in about 80 to 100 words. 80 words, it's an approx. That carries your 3 marks. So both put together will fetch you 8 marks. It's not at all difficult. Please make sure you practice it. You will definitely get through it. So yeah, acquiring the habit of note-taking is a wonderful complementary skill to that of listening. So like I told you, when you attend workshops, when you go to seminars, you definitely do a lot of listening. But what is the complementary skill to that? Note-taking, note-making. You want to jot down the important points. You want to make sure that you don't miss on anything. You never know, it's that thing does not come on YouTube or you don't get the recording of that, then what? You don't want to miss it. You want those points because you are in real dire need of those solutions. So you quickly jot it down. This is the knack. This is the art. This is the way you should be doing it. It's a very, practically based question. It will help you not only on academics, but even otherwise. So yes, for such more beautiful creative writings, keep watching and keep learning.